Watch and burn.
Hey everyone. So tonight I want to discuss a little / pretty much completely unknown made-for-TV movie from 1982, I believe. Pretty sure it's 82. And that is Dreams Don't Die, starring Trini Alvarado as well as Ike Eisenman from Escape from Witch Mountain. And this movie also has Paul Winfield in it. For everybody who knows who Paul Winfield is, he's a kick-ass actor that he's been in so many movies that I'm not even sure where to begin. Paul Winfield, he was in Death Before Dishonor with Fred Dryer. He was in my personal favorite, which was Serpent in the Rainbow, Wes Craven's Serpent in the Rainbow with Bill Pullman. He was in Presumed Innocent with Harrison Ford. He was in Damnation Alley. I mean, who doesn't love Damnation Alley? Paul Winfield, he's been in some of like the best known underground films too that have ever been made, like for example Damnation Alley. Everybody who loves the sort of apocalyptic 1970s era films or apocalypse movies made in the 70s that take place in some distant future, will know Damnation Alley, just like I'm sure somebody out there knows Dreams Don't Die. But I think the fact that Paul Winfield is in this, it sort of elevates this to being something more than just a very basic sort of paint-by-numbers, teen-based drug graffiti drama from the early 80s that would have aired on some network. And that is essentially the story here, is that Paul Winfield plays a police officer who intervenes on behalf of a young and very likable and upcoming graffiti artist, played by Ike Eisenman, from Escape from Witch Mountain. And him and his girlfriend / best friend, played by Trini Alvarado, who also was in Alan Moyle's first movie, Times Square, which was, I believe, released a couple years prior to this in 1980. And I have a video, I don't know if it's up yet, or by the time this comes out, I have no idea if the video for Times Square is up or not, but I have done a discussion video about that movie because it's Alan Moyle's first movie, and I love Alan Moyle and whatever. Trini Alvarado is in that as well as this. And Eisenman plays a graffiti artist who's getting known, and Trini Alvarado plays his girlfriend / best friend, who sort of gets roped into the world of drug dealing by the neighborhood's local cool guy drug dealer. And despite the fact that the kid from Escape from Witch Mountain is in this, because of the time period that this movie was made, I was worried that it would get a little rapey because the sexploitation thing was still running very hard in films, even made-for-TV movies. And so I did have my concerns. And thankfully, there's nothing like that. When the drug-dealing piece of shit pulls Alvarado in, it's just strictly to deal drugs. There's no creepy sex shit going on here. Now, as far as everything else is concerned, this movie is very paint by numbers. The cop intervenes, he does his best, but unfortunately, Paul Winfield's character is shot and killed midway through the film, and it leaves the two leads to sort of figure things out for themselves. But because this is a made-for-TV movie, naturally they do. And that's kind of what I'm looking for here. I don't want a made-for-TV sort of teen graffiti drug drama to get too big and too deep. Like, I want this to be summed up cleanly within an hour and a half. The acting is great. The story, like I said, it's very paint by numbers, but it is believable. I keep looking over this way because I have it on right now playing. I absolutely love this era of filmmaking, especially when it's centered in New York. And I think, though, that the one thing that definitely, in addition to having Paul Winfield in this, the other thing that elevates this film into the realm of something more is the score by Brad Fiedel. It's got more going on under the hood. Like, I've always found that with scores for made-for-TV films, it's always like it's an afterthought. Yeah, there's a spotting session where the director's like, yeah, we should put some music there, we should put some music there, and whatever else. But for the most part, it doesn't really matter. They'll default out with some sort of disco-y classical thing that was going on, and it was heavy in music at this point. And the score will just be there, which there's nothing wrong with that. It's almost like that the sign of a good score is that you don't know it's there until it's heightening the emotional impact of the film. right? All of a sudden it comes out of nowhere and you're like, Jesus, man, this music is really making me feel like I'm going to start crying or whatever. But the score for this, it was like there was more put in, like it's catchier and it's bouncier and it sort of has like a lot of replay factor. There's a lot of replayability, sorry. And I've never seen the score released. And I know a lot of like modern, smaller vinyl companies will release scores for smaller, unknown films like this, but the lion's share of these vinyl-based labels tend to focus on horror. And this, although in a sense it's a very realistic horror, it's not a horror movie at all. I mean, this is just showing the horror of, living like, for example, Eisenman's character, he lives with his mom who's getting the shit kicked out of her by her abusive asshole boyfriend. And so he's taken to graffiti to sort of escape this. And he does have a monumental amount of talent that ends up leading him to an interview with an ad agency. And everything works out in the end. They get the drug dealer who's trying to kill them both, and everything wraps up nicely. And like I said, that's exactly what I'm looking for from a made-for-TV movie, especially from this era, because it throws me back to my childhood when I used to watch a lot of those old after-school specials. And no matter how heavy the subject matter might be, it always wraps up cleanly at the end. And that this movie is certainly no exception there. This movie is fantastic. My favorite part is the score by Brad Fiedel, and other than that, the fact that Paul Winfield is in this really elevates this film. Everybody was great. This movie's a lot of fun. I've watched it a handful of times, but I am going to stop it there. So thank you so much for hanging out with me while I discussed this rather little-known film from, I believe, 1982, and that is Dreams Don't Die. If you liked this review, like always, don't forget to do something nice for someone. I'm going to go. Have a good night. I just wanted to say thank you for making it through the entire video. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to remind everyone one more time, even though I've probably already done this in the video that you just watched, to please click the like button as well as the subscribe button because it helps this channel grow. And thank you for hitting like and subscribe, and we will see you guys really soon.